Hi, everybody. I hope y'all are doing well. I hope y'all are having a great day today. If you're new here, I want to welcome you to School of Scarlet, which is a school of unconditional joy and love. So, if that sounds good to you, today we're going to be talking about non duality and ethics. And so, this video is kind of a continuation to the previous video that I put up. It would be the video right before this one. And that one is talking about evil and more about good and evil, and then also the natural consequences of evil. So if that interests you, you may want to go back and watch that one. It's kind of a little bit of introductory to this video, but in reality, you could actually watch either one, and it's going to be okay. So what is ethics and what is ethical and what do we find moral and all of that? Does that sort of stuff still continue? In my previous video, I had talked a little bit about politeness and how politeness really doesn't always serve us. It's a kind gesture, but a lot of times that kind of blocks us from our truth. So, kind of going along with that, what about ethics? How is that? How about morals? And do we still have that, or does that still occur after a non dual shift, or is that seen through? And so, I will say that it's kind of, again, it's just one of these dualities, these really paradoxes of life that just come up. And again and again, you will see paradoxes come up. So, in one sense, yes, ethics still exist, and yes, ethics are still very important for the person. And in another sense, they are not important at all and don't matter at all. Two things can be true at the same time. And so, this is one of those cases where two things will be true at the same time, and that is the truth. So, let's start off with the true, absolute reality of things after a non-dual shift, as soon as everything falls away and really you are left with what is, and it's not the self, it's not who you think you are. When that is seen through, you will see that ethics do not exist. They're not important for anybody, and that is because there is nobody for them to be important to. This is just a play of life. There is no one to be accountable for. There is no one to be accountable to. There's no other. Okay, so non duality is coming out of nothing, comes an illusion. So there is nothing there that truly cares about what is ethical and not ethical. Okay, so you as a person, whatever you have done or not done, whether it's ethical, not ethical, good, bad, whatever you want to categorize it, it really doesn't matter in the grand sense of things. This is freedom. This is love. Everything is perfect. And really, there's nothing that could be happening in this plane or in this reality that is out of alignment with what is perfect. So even the evil is accepted. Everything is accepted. So whether you're doing something ethical, have done something ethical or not, in the grand sense of things, in the absolute truth sense, it does not matter to the universe or anything in it, outside of it, whatever. It doesn't matter, period. So that in itself is a relief, right? But when you have that realization, it's not like you think. So a lot of times I've heard people say, like, okay, well, if you realize that and you realize that there is really nobody to be accountable to, nothing really happening, no punishment, nothing's really going to happen, this is just all happening, then why not just go do whatever crazy crimes you want to do? Why not just go crazy, right? And you hear this a lot and a lot, in these kind of talks about non duality. And the truth is, the person is not going to do that. So I come from a more of a psychology background. And so one of the things, in working with people is really trying to, help the person. But a lot of times when people come in, they could be at a very low state. And it used to be thought that if you ask somebody, do you, plan to, hurt yourself, end it, or whatever, do you plan to do that? Would be asking that direct question. Would that kind of put that seed in the mind of the person and cause them to later want to do it, or place the idea in a person that hadn't had that idea? And, over time, people have, done different ways. Some people have asked, some people have not asked. And then there's been the research behind it. And the research behind it shows that it does not cause the person to begin to think about that or to do that or to act on that or any of that. So just like having this realization, knowing that, or being confronted with this information, or being confronted with this new reality or lens of life, does not change really who this person is. A lot of things fall away, but it will not cause you to begin to do harm to yourself or anyone else. That is not going to happen, okay? And I haven't seen it happen. So I don't really believe that that would happen to anybody. If the person were to have a shift and that were to happen to them, then that would be the case. And that's just what's happening. But generally, what happens is you begin to feel unconditional love. And that is why I speak about unconditional love a lot more now than anything else, because I'm realizing the power of it and how that really is, the magic and everything, and really is what is everything, and what kind of, how everything is functioning through love. We could really break it down and break it down. And when you break it down to the very smallest, it is love. So that is what I've discovered. And so with unconditional love, what happens is you love everything and everyone as yourself. So you have no desire to harm, hurt, or manipulate or do anything to anyone else. You really are in the kind of this blissful state of wanting to love everybody else, wanting to, unite and connect with everybody else. Whereas if you're going to do some of the things that are unethical or not moral or whatever you want to call it, or crimes, those sorts of things actually produce separation. Okay. And this is unification, this is unity. So you're going to actually flip scripts. Maybe in the past you were doing a lot of things out of separation, or the types of behaviors you had were actually separating you from maybe your emotions, your family, the truth of life, what was actually happening in maybe a relationship or whatever. Usually it's trying to separate you, blind you, not allow you to have that unification. But when you experience unconditional love, or when you have your focus on that, then you begin to unify, and you are not in the state of wanting to do anything to harm anybody again. So you're not going to want to do that. It's just not going to happen within you. You're going to be in the state of fullness, of full love. You're going to be full of love. And so what's going to happen is you're going to have so much love in that cup in your heart that it's just going to overflow into everything else. It's going to overflow into the people you come in contact with. It's going to overflow into, your family. Your family dynamic will change. The generational curses, the damage in that family, whatever things that are recurring in that family, those things will begin to fall away. This is what will begin to happen. It's actually the opposite. So maybe those unethical things that happened in that family will begin to actually fall away, or begin to heal themselves to where those things no longer occur. Maybe the family was a family of scammers or manipulators, or maybe they were thieves, or maybe they whatever they were, maybe they were drug addicted, maybe whatever it was that was a generational curse will begin to shift, and that will fall away. So that kind of happens too for those unethical things. They won't really be able to survive with this level of unconditional love. It just will alchemize, and there's actually way more unconditional love, so it will just remain with unconditional love. The other will fall. So all of these places, you will see that they will begin to get better. Like I say, maybe you had church, or maybe you had relationships, in your organizations, or if you were part of a church, or whatever happens, those will begin to shift and change and become more ethical, you know. And so I begin to see some of this in my own life, just seeing how things would begin to shift. And so if you kind of pay attention to this after you've had a shift or a glimpse, you actually begin to feel more love. And, just examine this for yourself. Take a moment. If you can recall back to those times when you're feeling more love, did you ever have the thought of being unethical or really doing something to harm others? And you can comment down below. We can start a discussion if you have had those feelings, where, let us know what those are. Let's start a discussion behind it, because generally, what I've seen with working with people is that when they experience that level of love, or any level of love, they are more at peace. more at harmony, and they are not wanting to do anything to harm, take advantage of, or do anything to another. And so that's just something that naturally unfolds. It's not something that you're doing. You never have done this. But prior to the shift, there's just so much programming, like I've talked about, whether that's how you grew up, what family you grew up in, maybe it was an unethical family. So imagine yourself being born into a family of thieves, a family that steals, to survive in this world. And you grow up into that family, and you know no different. So you begin to take up those things, and your family begins to praise you because you're doing so well, stealing and doing all these things that this family unit does. Now, that's an unethical family unit. But was that child that was born into that unit and learning those things and being praised for those things, are they really conscious of that? That is unethical, that is wrong? No, it's just their conditioning, their programming, what they've grown up with, what they've been part of. And this could go back many generations as well. So it's a very deep thing. And so to break free of that, you would have to have a shift, some kind of spiritual awakening of some kind, whatever it happens to be. It doesn't necessarily have to be non-duality. I prior to non-duality, I was a Christian and I had shifts within Christianity. And all of this is just God. It's just labels that we have put on everything, but everything is just happening, and it's all love. You could call it God, love, life, energy, frequency. You can call it whatever you want. Words are something that we've made up. That's something in the illusion. What this is just something that's felt and known. It can't be really spoken of. You can't speak of it. That's why it's a bunch of word salads. It could be this word, it could be that word, it doesn't matter, because it's not something that can be spoken of. But when you experience it, or when you experience it being given to you, if somebody else is giving you unconditional love, you can recognize it. You resonate with that, and you know that to be your true nature. Okay? So think back, in your life, of those people that, have always, kind of been your role models, or those people that you've always kind of felt like very safe with, or you felt that they were your protector, or, you felt very loved by them. Who were they? Were they unethical? Most likely they were not. Because love does not, it's not, it doesn't go with unethical. Love doesn't do that. Love alchemizes it, gets rid of it. So there's not going to be that person or role model that you're going to be really looking up to that's unethical. And if there is someone like that, we can examine that a little bit further. There could be love there too, but we have to dig into a little bit more. Love is present in everything. Okay, that is why everything is accepted. But, those higher levels of unconditional love that you feel maybe from a grandparent or something like that are at another level. And they're very transformative, and they're very healing, and they can produce that peace and harmony like I'm talking about. And when you have that, you have no desire to do anything to anyone else other than to just marvel in the beauty of life. That's all. Uplifting others and just encouraging others to go for their dreams, do what they authentically have always wanted to do, support them in whatever they actually want for themselves. That's what this is. And so you've never done anything unethical. You've never done anything ethical or unethical. This isn't like that. There's no shame here. It's just love. And the more love that you can be given, whether or not you think that you've done unethical things, if you tap in and you love that part of you, you begin to alchemize and love each part of you, that will fall away. And what falls away with that as well is the unethical part, the ethics, the unethical stuff, the unmoral, or whatever you want to call it. All of that stuff falls away. And what's left is love. And love is a binder. It's like a glue. It's a connector. It unifies everything into one, which is what I'm speaking of. And that just naturally happens when you show love to everybody. So what you can begin doing today is showing more love to others. But first, begin to show more love to yourself. If there is a part of you that you don't feel good about, or you have shame over something from the past, begin to examine that. Begin to go into that, look into that, and naturally it will begin to alchemize with love. Give yourself that love because you aren't responsible for this. You can't carry all the programming of all of this. This is just all happening. This is life. It happens in a way that you're not doing it, but it feels like you're doing it. We're moving through life, we're doing this and that, and it feels that way. But it's much greater than this. And you're much greater than this. So when you tap into that divinity that you have, you're not just this limited human. Okay, so everything begins to shift, heal, and alchemize into what it truly is, which is love. And so that's what I wanted to speak about today is just how ethics in one way do continue because you love people, you want to do the right thing by them because you've had that shift and you have that love now. So you have so much of it that you want to give it. You don't want to harm anybody. Okay? But at the same time, they don't exist. Ethics don't really continue and they never really have because there is no reason to have any ethics for who? There's no one. This is an illusion. So, in the grand sense of things, it doesn't matter. In the relative sense of things, it also doesn't matter. It just matters what your heart wants. If you're unhappy with something about your heart, something that's happening, then you can begin to work on that. But if you feel happy and loved and you have a cup full of love, then you can share that overflow with everybody. Let me see, I want to share something with you back here. So, this is a little chalice. Okay, I call it a little chalice of love. It's just a little chalice. And so let's say we fill it to the brim with water, right? We fill it and we are going to use the water as a symbol for love. So we're going to fill it and fill it and fill it, fill it with water. Every time we are loving ourselves, we fill up this cup. We can imagine that this cup is right here in your chest, right here where your heart sits. And so each time that you take care of yourself, you speak up for yourself, you're pouring a little bit more into your love cup. Okay? Every time that you do something loving for yourself or others, you're filling up that love cup. Okay? Until it gets real full. It will get full and it can get full very quickly. It's very easy to fill this cup, actually. And so then now you have this full cup. And when you walk around life, you're going to be walking and moving and sometimes going faster, going to different places. And as you go, you're going to spill the overflow. Or you'll have so much overflow, it's always going to be overflowing. But sometimes it might just be at its brim and you can just walk and it'll sprinkle everywhere you go. That's unconditional love. And that begins to spill out everywhere. Okay. And that alchemizes everything that could be unethical or unmoral or whatever. So actually, you don't want to be that way. It just doesn't happen that way. But you begin to become contagious to everybody else. So, this unconditional love is also contagious. When you give it to someone, they begin to change and they begin to be able to give it to someone else. So, that's the power of this cup. And this is just a symbol to show a visual of what's happening literally inside of you, within you. And so, that's what I talk about with the unconditional love. And I want you just to take a look at that. If you have had a shift, look at how you've handled things. You may notice that you have become just naturally more ethical, or naturally more caring, or naturally more kind, or just naturally just more moral and just everything like that. I know that's been the case for me. So I've seen this among other people as well. I haven't seen the opposite happen. So if the opposite has happened to you, I'm sorry that's happened, but I'd love to have a discussion down below and we can just talk about that because actually, whatever is happening is actually perfect and there's nothing wrong or right about it. It's just what's happening at this moment, and there's infinite other possibilities of things that are happening, but it's all loved and accepted. So it's here and now, and that's what's happening. So, but if you're not happy with something about it, what can we do? Love. Love. Love is like the thing that can kind of bring you through those wormholes and take you out of situations. So you might be in a very ugly situation. You give it love and it literally brings you out of it into a wormhole and puts you somewhere else. So it's a very fast way to change things in this current reality, like right away. So that's just the discussion for today, talking about ethics and morality and things like that. Do they continue? Yes and no. Okay. And so thank you so much for watching. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. Again, if you have any comments for the comment section, I would love to engage with y'all. And all my information is in the description box below. I want to remind y'all we have YouTube memberships as well, where I will be giving 4 coaching videos per month in there. And you will also be able to access live sessions and things like that. You will also be able to access more personalized pictures and things about what's happening, with me that I can share with y'all in that space. I also have now down below my book for my twin flame journey, the Nothing, Love, Death, Nothing. That's down in the kind of description area for sale. And I also have a Scarlet Journal. Okay. School of Scarlet Journal is a new journal that I have come up with. And I have personally made every prompt in there. There's 111 prompts. And these prompts are created based on the people that I've worked with and the kind of questions I've had to ask them to kind of open them up. So that journal, let me see if I have a copy of it over here so I can show it to you. That journal is actually a big journal like this. It's got a nice soft cover. It's got our logo on there, School of Scarlet Journal. And so you can see it's a nice big journal. And on the inside, like I say, it's 111 journal prompts. So you can see there's journal prompts here at the top. There's one, and then you have the whole sheet to fill in. And they're quite large sheets, so there's plenty of space in there to do that. And so all of these questions, like I say, were hand selected by me over years of me working with people and the type of questions that I had to ask that would really open people up, because that's one of the really these special things about working with people is how you can open them up. And to do so, you really have to know the right questions to ask. That's the most important thing. So those questions are all here for you, and there's 111 of them there. So if you're interested in purchasing that journal, you can purchase it down below in my school store. And then I also have a couple of spaces still open in the Unconditional course that will be starting in August. So there's just a little bit of time still to sign up. If you are interested in that course, you can purchase it down below. But I seriously encourage you just to email me so that we can have a chat and just make sure that this is the right course for you. And so I just wanted to share that with y'all. And so thank you so much for watching. I hope y'all come back, and I hope y'all have a good rest of y'all's day. Thank you so much.